This recent interview with Built in Buffalo and Andy Isabella highlighting his transition from running back to wide receiver really sparked the thought in my mind about the Buffalo Bills potentially considering some position changes for us entering the 2024 season. And you really think about Andy Isabella rotating from running back to wide receiver and what that could ultimately present for the Buffalo Bills. There's a player on our team, Nyheim Hines, who is still under contract here. And if you really look at it, if Andy Isabella could supplement the running back position, being that he's played running back before, you could see how much the Buffalo Bills can save if we happen to cut Nyheim Hines. Bills Mafia would save roughly $5 million if Andy Isabella can supplement that running back position. We know Nyheim Hines, a faster, speedier type running back, similar to a James Cook, but Andy Isabella, faster, speedier type skill set too, offering somewhat the same skill set as Nyheim Hines, and the Buffalo Bills could definitely save roughly $5 million. And you really look at what Andy Isabella presents, not only a wide receiver threat, but a special teams threat. And I get it, Deontay Hardy had that awesome kick return for us late in the year, but really lacked to contribute on the offensive side of the ball. I think we were all kind of expecting a little bit more from Deontay Hardy on the offensive side of the ball. So it's not only that Andy Isabella has a chance of supplementing the running back position, offering us an ability to save money by cutting Nyheim Hines $5 million. Now, what happens here if we happen to cut Deontay Hardy? The Buffalo Bills would save more than $4 million, about $4,200,000, and the Bills total would save almost $10 million with this move, kind of consolidating things with Andy Isabella. But that's only if he can contribute on special teams. That's if he can contribute on running back and also wide receiver. But consolidating things here would definitely free up cap space for the Buffalo Bills, and I think we should definitely be considering this positional change for Andy Isabella. Now, we all know the long list of free agents here for the Buffalo Bills, and one of which is Quentin Morris, being that third tight end for Bills Mafia. But a player that we have on this team that I think that can supplement that third tight end position is Reggie Gilliam. And keep in mind, Ken Dorsey and also Joe Brady utilized 6 offensive linemen out there. How often were we in a 3 tight end set? And I think that was a trend that we saw from Joe Brady, that he will continue to utilize 6 offensive linemen on the football field. And I think we will see that in 2024. So how important is it having a sure 3 tight ends on this team? Reggie Gilliam's salary is just over $1 million. Talk about a very reasonable rate. He's 6 foot, 244 pounds, and glancing at his stats, you could really see that he has hands. He has an ability to catch the football, and he's been in Buffalo for 4 seasons. Just taking a look at it, during those 4 seasons, Gilliam has had 18 targets, 14 total receptions, only 4 incomplete passes. He has had 111 yards on 14 receptions. I think that's very, very good, especially for everyone considering him to be a fullback. So this is proving that he has an ability to kind of be a hybrid fullback tight end. He also has 2 receiving touchdowns for Bills Mafia. Now, the biggest positional change I thought of here was the fact of Micah Hyde potentially retiring or potentially signing to a different team. We need to supplement the safety spot on this roster. And yes, we have Cam Lewis as a free agent. We could potentially bring him back. Damar Hamlin is there, who's been here for a while. He is starting to progress. The thing we have to keep in mind, during the Sean McDermott era, the very first year that they came here, he had an idea of bringing in veteran safeties to solidify the back end of this defense. And I think there is a priority of that, having veteran leadership back there in strong communication between the strong safety and free safety. Even bringing in Taylor Rapp last year for a 1-year stint. But I really think Sean McDermott prefers to have veterans at the safety position. We have not seen Sean McDermott even start a rookie safety during the McDermott era. On the perimeter, though, on the outside, we've seen it. We saw it with Trey White. We saw it with Christian Benford. We saw it with even Kyer Elam. So I think that Sean McDermott's more comfortable starting and drafting an outside corner and starting him on the outside versus drafting a safety and having him start at safety. That said, looking at the players that are on this team between Trey White, Rasul Douglas, Christian Benford, and Kyer Elam, we are awfully deep at the cornerback position. So my thought here is, why not consider bringing one of these cornerbacks to the free safety position? We've seen that in NFL history, especially when cornerbacks get up in age, when they start maybe slowing down, so they have a hard time covering number one wide receivers in the NFL, or maybe they struggle at covering number one wide receivers at the NFL. They make that transition to safety. Now, I look at Rasul Douglas, I look at Christian Benford, I see them in their prime. I see them being able to shut down number one wide receivers. The question here is with Trey White, coming off an ACL, coming off an Achilles, also coupling the fact that he's already gotten paid a high contract. Trey White could be willing to go to the safety position and spend a little bit of time at the safety position, make that transition to free safety for the Buffalo Bills. Now, I don't know how willing he's going to be willing to do that. I don't know. Maybe Trey White comes back fully healthy at full speed. These injuries haven't affected him and he can still shut down number one wide receivers in the NFL. So my top choice and player on this roster right now to switch to free safety is actually Kyer Elam. And looking at Kyer Elam, he makes game-changing plays. Yes, he allows some chunk yardage and he gets beat against number one wide receivers and top wide receivers in this league, but he's a willing tackler. He's proved that he's strong. He's physical. I think he fits a great skill set for the safety position. And looking at Kyer Elam with the limited game reps, with the limited experience that he has had, the amount of reps that he has had, he's gotten a ton of interceptions. On a per snap basis, he's actually on track with Trey White in the same amount of interceptions based on total snaps. So I think Kyer Elam is the number one candidate in the cornerback position here for the Bills to rotate himself to the free safety spot for Bills Mafia. He's got the speed. He can run sideline to sideline. He's got the hands to create game-changing plays. He's a willing tackler. Kyer Elam definitely throws his face into the thick of things, diving in there, making some great dynamic tacklers. He's long, and I really think the Bills should be considering this. Rasul Douglas, Christian Benford, Trey White on the outside, offering a lot of depth, and then having Kyer Elam rotate at the safety position. And if there is ever an injury, maybe Kyer Elam can come back out to the cornerback spot. I know the Bills have Damar Hamlin. We have Cam Lewis there. But if Micah Hyde does not come back, if we're not able to get Taylor Rapp back to the Buffalo Bills because he gets too much money in free agency or whatever it is, we know that Sean McDermott prioritizes having veteran leadership in the back end of this defense. And yeah, Damar Hamlin has been here. We had Jaquan Johnson, but he just didn't play that well. He was here for a long time. Getting him up to speed, getting the communication aspect down of the back end of this defense, I think the Buffalo Bills should potentially consider this position change for Kyer Elam. And something I want to see more of is getting Ed Oliver at the defensive end spot. We saw it with Chris Jones and the Kansas City Chiefs going against us in that playoff game, and we're likely going to see it in the Super Bowl again too. I think just kind of rotating Ed Oliver, who was almost shut out during that Kansas City Chiefs game in the interior going against Tunde. I think we can try to scheme things up a little bit better with Ed Oliver, get him on the outside, get him as a defensive end, especially if we're not going to have A.J. Epinesa. Now, it's not going to be a positional change for Ed Oliver in any means. I just want to see us scheme things up a little bit better for Ed. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What position changes do you agree with? Which ones don't you agree with? I hope this video tickled your mind a little bit and presented some interesting thoughts, interesting ideas, what the Buffalo Bills could ultimately do to save money, to become more of a threat against opposing teams. So I really want to hear from you. Drop your comments down below. Really, truly appreciate every single one of you. Make sure you hit like, subscribe. That's a signal to me to keep this channel alive, keep making videos just like this. It's crazy. 80% of you are still not subscribed. So just make sure you check. If you're subscribed to the channel, it would mean the absolute world. But I truly appreciate you guys all so much. Check the links in the description for the Buffalo Chicken Wing merch. Also, we did have one of you sign up for Course Careers. That's how I landed my full-time employment. You can start out at a $70,000 remote job. We're directly tied to employers. Once you graduate, it's a very thorough exam. Once you graduate, these employers trust that you're going to be ready to go. We even have the students there at Course Careers are getting hired 2 weeks after graduating. That's literally how I found my full-time job. But I appreciate you guys all so much. Hit like, subscribe, and go Bills.